What's up and welcome back. I'm John Stark from BackTheMovieGuy.com, my favorite blind film critic, and I'm back. It's season 2 of The Last of Us, and this show does have audio description. Interestingly enough, I've noticed that the show was re-uploaded with season 1 having ASL. So, in concurrence with the video game series itself being incredibly accessible, the TV show series is now actually incredibly accessible. We also crossed another boundary uh, in terms of accessibility this season, where the quality control team is actually in the credits for The Last of Us when we talk about the audio description at the end. So shout out to Serena Gilbert for doing uh, quality control for The Last of Us. It's a pretty big thing. I've done quality control, and it's like the position that you think never is, you're never going to get credited for. But like in retrospect, yes, it would have been really cool for what I've done quality control on, for my name to be at the end of the movie going, quality control by, oh, yeah, look at that. I mean, why not? Like, everybody else is in the credits. People's like personal assistants make the credits of the movie, you know? So, why not? I don't know. Put us in there. So we're back with season 2 and season 1. If you're just joining now, I watched season 1. But in season 1, we followed the story of Joel, played by Pedro Pascal, and Ellie, played by Bella Ramsey, and their long journey over 9 episodes, which basically followed the same plot structure as the video game, making a couple changes and alterations, sometimes exploring things in more detail than the video game gets to. Um, you pick and choose where your stories are the strongest and what translates into sort of a cinematic feel versus what feels more like a video game. But you always want to play homage to video game uh, along the way as well. So uh, the first season balance that we learned that that there were the spores started, and largely because of global warming, they spread from just insects picking them up from plants to them eventually getting into humans, which instead of killing, they sort of infect, and the spread moved pretty quickly through tainted food, and you know then we have all of these clickers and uh, various zombie types throughout. You'll see a new form. By the way, spoilers. It's a recap. I don't know. I feel like I should say that at least once, but you'll see in this season premiere, you'll see a new form of them called stalkers. So definitely catch up on season 1. We last left off with Joel and Ellie. Joel was having to explain to Ellie, what he had done, and he ended up having to lie to her because basically Ellie lives with survivor's guilt, and uh, she's immune, and she's the only one who is, and she's watched so many people die and leave her along the way that she kind of just wants her life to mean something. And in the first season, she was much younger than she is now. And I'm using Ellie's pronouns, not Bella's pronouns. So just in case, we're going with Ellie as a character. So Ellie is um, trying to figure out how to make herself matter. We saw an entire episode where she lost her best friend, who was played by Storm Reed in an excellent episode, which I believe got Storm an Emmy nomination. I think Last of Us had several Emmy nominations, including, of course, the ones for Nick Offerman and Murray Bartlett, um, and among others. That was our the best season 1 episode. Um, so in in grand fashion, Joel is like the opposite, where he lost his daughter in the in the outbreak, and he's been dealing with that. And Ellie sort of is filling this hole for him. And even though Ellie wants to sacrifice herself to research to try to find a cure, Joel doesn't want her to do that. So it's the butting of the heads, and whose decision is it ultimately in the end. So Joel has to wipe out the Fireflies in order to save Ellie. But as we learn pretty quickly at the onset of season 2, he did not wipe out the Fireflies. He just killed a lot of them. And we're left back with all of the animals that were at Salt Lake City. And the remaining Fireflies are burying their dead. And we are introduced to Abby, who is played by Caitlin Dever, who just did a limited series called Apple Cider Vinegar on Netflix. And she is going to be a major force coming forward. For anybody who has played the video game Last of Us Season 2, which is accessible with audio description, so you can play that. It is a PlayStation, not an Xbox title. It's not an Xbox, so you're going to have to pop open that PlayStation, or I guess use a PC. And her character is a big introduction in the second video game. So it's caused a lot of talk online leading up to season 2 as to how they're going to handle all of this. And I think they've walked back a lot of it by trying to say that it's not going to play out exactly the same way, because the first season did a pretty good job of following the first game. Well, if the second season, first of all, there is no Last of Us 3 right now, so unless they're going to rush out a video game, they don't really have a third season. So this really popular show would end after 2 seasons if they just did 1 season per video game. So I think there's some sort of concerted effort to tell a slightly altered story, which will help people who know where we're headed with Abby. So Abby is there. The only other notable character really is her boyfriend, Owen, although I don't think he's nearly as notable as she is. And she sort of vows to seek vengeance and find this Joel or Joe, they don't even really know what his name is, and kill him slowly. Even though they talk about, well, they could go over here because they'll offer refuge. I guess there are other, like, Fireflies somewhere else. She's like, no, we have to find him. He stole their only vehicle, so they have a huge head start. We also jump ahead in time. So a lot of things have happened since. And Ellie is now older. When we cut over to Jackson, which is where Joel and Ellie now live, she's older. She's 19 specifically, I think. And she's tatted up. She's got a tattoo that helps to cover her initial bite mark that she got a long time ago from season 1, episode 7, I believe. And that showed that she was immune. And she has been developing her skills. We see a scene of her with Tommy, Joel's brother, and she's gotten better at shooting. But she's, she's a gruff teenager who doesn't really like her, not parent, but parental figure in Joel. And Joel is obviously being useful to the community, and he's sort of laments the fact that Ellie is being a sulky teenager, while also wishing that they talked more, wishing that there wasn't this gap between them. Obviously, Ellie has a desire to be as useful as possible since she's been given this gift. But at the same time, they can't tell everybody what that gift is. So very few people know. It's revealed in the first episode that Tommy knows. That's about as far as we go, because we also were introduced to Dina, played by Isabella Merced, who's going to play Ellie's best friend, and by the end of the episode, her girlfriend. Uh, and they, uh, Dina doesn't know. So there's clearly, she's asking questions and she has absolutely no idea why Ellie's mad at Joel or anything like that. She's left out in the cold. And we have one more character that is sort of an interesting introduction in terms of casting. But Joel goes and sees a therapist in our season premiere, played by Catherine O'Hara. So shout out to Catherine for simultaneously managing to be in both The Studio and The Last of Us. It's funny when you shoot things and sometimes projects ferment for a while and they need, visual effects, and it just takes a while for something to premiere. And then you get things all at the same time, like Walton Goggins was simultaneously in The White Lotus, Invincible, and The Righteous Gemstones, all airing at the same time. So, yeah. So we're enjoying our Catherine moment. But she plays a therapist who Joel talks to. Brings her weed. He pays her in weed, and she's drinking through the session, and imparts some advice. We learn that she's drinking because it's her first birthday spent without her husband, who we also learned Joel killed at some point. However, we also know that the guy was infected. So it's not like Joel just randomly murders people now for no good reason whatsoever. But infected seem to be very rare. They notice that there's some mention of how there's only been like 6 sightings or something like that in a while, which leads to, because they go on a recon, and Ellie, along with Dina and Kat, who there's a mention of, I guess Ellie had dated Kat at some point. They go on this recon, and they see a bear that's been sort of demolished by clickers, but also the clickers got demolished. And one clicker made it inside this building, and they want to go in and just clear it and make sure, see if there's anything else that's in there. And Ellie she really wants to get up in there. So she and Dina, they obviously have done this team up, and they're ready for this. So they get up and go inside the building and find a clicker. And it plays out much like you would in a video game, where you throw like a bottle down the hallway to distract it. You look at a message board, post board on the wall, full of like employee of the month photos. So and then you fall through a floor, like you feel like you totally would in a video game. So many video game moments in this scene that it's like, yep, this is where they pay homage to the video game. And Ellie falls to the floor, which is where she finds the stalker, which is basically just a zombie that instead of immediately coming at them, it kind of like does what it says its name is, which is stalks you. It kind of like waits for the opportune moment. It seems to plan and plan its attack or whatever, and maneuver around like it's stalking its prey. So Ellie, after she eventually does kill the stalker, when she and Dina go back, she surmises that they're getting smarter because they haven't encountered a stalker yet. So maybe they're evolving a little bit into this new breed of zombie. So God, we get to see all the tension from Joel and Ellie. They don't really have talk a lot, and when they do, it's never a good talk. It's never a positive conversation. Joel volunteers to fix the guitar as sort of like a peace offering at one point because her guitar string is it's like a guitar string that's broken or something. And so he's like, I can fix it. I'll have it tomorrow morning. Very just sort of like uh, of happy to be able to do something for you that does not create tension. And Ellie doesn't fight him on the guitar, but she does later on when homophobia has made it to 2029, and Ellie is dancing with Adina at some event for the community, which is growing a little too fast. So its population is growing a little too much. And Joel mentions that it's really hard to expand at the pace at which they're getting new people. I would say like the more people that you get, wouldn't it be easier to expand because you have a bigger workforce? You have people who are all doing things, and you can find the best use for people. So instead of like, you might have people who are on guard duty who would be better used building things, and then you could have somebody else on guard duty who maybe isn't as skilled with building. Like you find people who are better at what they're doing as you figure out when you get new people what is their skill set, like what is it that they're good at. So so we have so there's a warning about accepting new people, and they're like, well, we don't want to turn anybody away. Remember, Joel, you are a refugee yourself. All of this leads to the final shot, and my guess for the next episode, I haven't seen any previews or spoilers for the next episode, but here's what I'm guessing is how they're going to slow things down and how it's going to be a little bit different from the video game. We see Abby she's like out on a ridge that overlooks Jackson, so she can see Jackson down below. Now, she doesn't know that Joel's in there because she doesn't really know who Joe is at this point, but she does know Jackson. So I think her and her little group, she doesn't have a huge army, so she can't just take Jackson. I've watched enough Walking Dead to know that like 5 people is not really enough people to just charge in without doing some recon. So they're going to have to go in and pretend that they're not Fireflies and that they're just a band of misfits that are seeking a home. That's where I think we're going to get in. And then Caitlin's going to get in and hear that Joel name. Somebody's going to call him Joel, and it's going to trigger Abby. But she's going to be a new part of this community, refugee, sort of learning and biding her time and seeing what is this place, who are these people, and because they don't know who Abby is. So that's how we extend the story in the video game, is give it something that doesn't happen in the video game, but at the same time it's the only thing that makes logical sense if you're going to. I mean, House of the Dragon, they're trying to stretch, which is why people felt it this last season, even though I liked last season, because last season we had more character development than we've ever had, which is, I think, a good thing. We actually started to learn who people are. Also, for The Last of Us, we had a lot of character development with people. The first season, which I loved, also had a bad habit of basically anybody who wasn't Joel or Ellie was only in like 1, maybe 2 episodes, and then they left. Here, there's hope that maybe some of these people will be in a couple of episodes. I mean, we've already returned to Tommy, so he has like a reappearance, and his wife, and they have a little kid that's grown up now. Well, not really grown up, but older. So we're starting to see the potential to have like recurring cast members instead of guest stars. So by fleshing out the cast and the ensemble, that's what makes it a little bit better than a video game, is the ability to have character growth and character arcs in a way that in a video game you don't always have, because you're playing as a character. So the character that you're playing as, or in the case of Last of Us, where you're transitioning between two characters, end up being immensely more evolved than the characters around you, the supporting cast. If you think about it, when you play pretty much any video game ever, you know what I'm talking about. You have a whole lot of NPCs that you run up to and you talk to. Um, or you have, maybe you're single player, but you get to squad up. There are those games where you have like sort of like a rotating squad with people where you can pick and choose who rolls out with you, and you kind of get character development, like Mass Effect. Mass Effect as a video game series where you're playing the one character, and then it sort of tries to give you character development with the other characters that are on your team, and you develop like relationships and stories, and you make choices that, like you could date this one but not that one, or like there are choices that you can make to help flesh out the story. Video games have tried to find ways of bringing that cinematic value to their video games for a while. Well, this is how you do it, officially, is actually, taking the video game out of it and then putting it on screen. So I think it's a smart call, if that's in fact what they're doing here, is to stretch it more and to not immediately make that decision that the video game makes. Because I think then the question about, is there a season 3, starts getting asked, like, well, if you're just going to do one season per video game, then what is season 3? So, yeah, I look forward to it, and we see that little hint of the spores being in the tubes, but also they know that there are roots in the pipes. So I don't know if they don't know that that there's something in the pipes. So, it's, I mean, maybe they know, like maybe that's what when they're talking about getting the roots out of the pipes. Maybe they're talking about the spores. Maybe they're talking about roots. It's hard to tell if they know or they don't know. Like, I'm thinking that hint, that the reason why they showed us is they don't know. But at the same time, they keep talking about the shit that's clogging the pipes. So I don't think that they're totally unaware of the possibility that could be happening. So, or that somebody hasn't thought about it. We just haven't spent enough time with them for somebody to have that kind of conversation. Or we find out like a couple weeks ago, somebody was like, oh, what if this was in pipes? Somebody's like, I don't know, maybe it is, but we'll get in there and see, just wasn't brought up in the episode. So, I like the audio description. I thought Roy Samuelson did an excellent job on the narration. And yeah, it plays out really well. And really well written, balanced audio description. The stalker scene was really good. Actually, that whole sequence played out really well, played out quite nicely in terms of all of the different references that they made. Just trying to clear that one building, just with like one clicker, which is what they thought was in there, was just one clicker. So, I'm, of course, giving The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 1 an A. I'm happy to be back. I hope you're happy too. Thanks for watching. Thanks for subscribing. And I will see you guys next week with The Last of Us Season 2, Episode 2. Presumably. So, until then, thanks for watching and thanks for subscribing.